This is the Just My Type podcast.
Here we go. Hello, hello, around the block and around the world. This is where we discuss, debate, and deliberate all things diabetes, representing type 2. My name is Dobie Maxwell, representing type 1, the vivacious, effervescent, always in the know, Ms. Sammy Parker. Greetings, Sammy.
Greetings, Dobie.
You know what? I sound excited because we have a fantastic guest today. It is always fun when we bring somebody new, and you can tell, like on a first date, in the first few seconds you talk to somebody if they're going to be good or bad. This young lady is going to be fantastic. But first, this episode of Just My Type, the diabetes podcast, is brought to you by who?
The Diabetes app.
What do they do, Sammy?
A free social community app that brings together both type 1 and type 2s. You can find community resources and Dobie and me.
And cookie recipes, whatever you want, and winning lottery numbers. Now, let's introduce our guest, Sammy. I'm excited to get to this lady.
All right. So our lucky guest today is Laura Pavlakovich, which I'm really happy I can pronounce it. And you might know her as You're Just My Type on Instagram. Hello, Laura.
Hello, guys.
That's not your real name, is it, Pavlovich? You changed that for show business.
Yeah, I thought it would be a lot easier for people to pronounce.
Yeah.
I love it.
Kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
If your name was in Scrabble, you would get 5,000 points.
I think a party trick. I think my brother could spell it backwards in like elementary school. Just a little show and tell. I still can't. Don't ask me, but we can get him on later.
Well, first of all, welcome, and let's get something straight. You didn't steal your name from us. We didn't steal your name from you. It's a thing that we're kind of both using it, and we're on good terms.
No hard feelings.
None at all.
No hard feelings. Dobie, everybody was so concerned. He's like, oh my God, her name's the same as ours. I feel so bad.
You're just my type, just my type. It's like the cutest name. So I think it just means we're both have great minds think alike, right?
Great minds do think alike. Now, do you get people thinking it's a dating show, dating site?
Oh, 1,000,000%. When I first started, I worked with a lot of families, and in the subject, it would say like, "You're just my type," and they were like, "I wasn't opening that email," and it was like like I wasn't gonna touch that email. And I was like,
wait,
oh,
that's
gosh.
so funny. Can you explain kind of what that is to everybody so they know exactly like what you do and what your organization is?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yay.
We started, when I say we, it's I, but I like to sound more official. So we started in 2016, and it was just a passion project. I went to school for photojournalism. I always wanted to do something with photography. I had no idea what that would look like in my life. Fast forward, I meet this photographer at a wedding. She didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about her. She tells me that she has a 4-year-old son who was just diagnosed with this thing called type 1 diabetes. And I was like, ears, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And she said he cries himself to sleep every night because he feels like he's the only person on this planet living with this disease. And then she says, I can only show him statistics on a computer so many times of how many other people are living with diabetes. And every single light and ding went off in my head. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to take photographs of as many type 1 diabetics as I can to give this boy faces to look at instead of numbers. And for other people like him. So it just started off, I just like contacted a few friends of mine that I had living with type 1. And I was like, hi, can I take your picture? And I started, it was like a blog. It was like this little blog, and I would take portraits, go meet people in LA, San Diego, like nearby, and then they would fill out some questions and I would share their stories. That's how it began. That was about 6 years ago.
Fantastic.
And then
I'm sure you're never going to run out of subjects, people to write about because there's millions of people.
Exactly. So at first it was a bit of a, like, I was very adamant on taking all the photographs myself. It was like my little baby. But then when COVID hit, I was like, what better time than now to let people submit their own photos for the first time in stories? And that's when we really we got to post people, we still do, from all over the world. So people send in their submissions from Tokyo and India and places I simply wouldn't be able to get to.
Yeah.
In time.
Let me just hop on a plane and go take a picture.
Right. So that's really expanded things. And we used to do meetup. We had a few sponsorships back in the day, and we do meetups in other cities in the US and do like some big meetups. So I get to photograph like 40 type 1s at once. We did one in Paris. I did one in Slovenia back when I was like visiting family.
Wait, that's so cool.
So that's what it was. It was like photography based diabetes storytelling. And then last year we transitioned, and now we host mental health events every month. for people living with type 1 diabetes of different age
Yeah.
groups.
I need you to elaborate on this because I love it and I think it's such a smart idea and it's so cool.
Okay, I grew up going to diabetes camp every summer. My parents started a support group for us in the South Bay where I'm from called the South Bay Hot Shots. So I was really lucky where I was like surrounded by type 1s most of my life, and it would like you'd get to go and feel safe and feel included. And then you like kind of have to go back to real life where you're like the outsider again and the one that's different. And I think it really did instill, and my parents will also take credit for this, but I think them doing that like instilled in me how important constant community is rather than just
Yeah.
like this thing, an event you look forward to once a year. So last year when I was trying to I really wanted to take over, like run You're Just My Type full time. And I was like, well, what is that even going to look like? How do I turn this into a career? And the first event we did was last September, so almost exactly a year ago, and it was for young girls ages 12 to 17, and we had a fully type 1 female staff, and they all had mental health backgrounds. So we had a nutritionist, a yoga instructor, a behavioral therapist, a social worker, and it was like a little mini conference for these girls. We had a yoga class, we did a cooking class, and had carb counting worksheets, and then we had breakout groups and like an art class, and they got to decorate these diabetes supply bags, and it was incredible. It was also in the thick of COVID, so
And I
it was a
love
lot of
that.
questioning myself and my own decisions of like, this is the time you decide to
To
plan
do
an
a real
in-person
event.
event with young girls who all have an autoimmune disease. Like, is this truly the best decision? I was just speaking about this on Doc Day last week of I think I didn't realize until I saw them there talking that this is when they needed something like this more than ever before. Most of these girls had been diagnosed like during the pandemic and never got to meet anyone. So I think the timing was actually very much in everyone's favor.
Yeah.
And after I did the girls, I was just going to stick with young girls. Like I was a young girl with type 1. I'm like, this is what I know. This is what I'm going to stick to. I know a lot of them. But after I did that, there was a lot of voices from the community saying like, well, what about boys? Well, what about adults? Well, what about us? And I was like, okay, you're right. We all need it. So after that, we did our first like co-ed adult one. Since then, we've done young boys, we've done a women's event, we've done an all ages day. We just had our second adult one last weekend, and then we have another young boys one coming up, and then our first men's event is going to be in November.
Is it like people you just sign up and is there like do you, because of all the different activities, is like there a fee to sign up and then you go to the event, or how does it work?
There's no fee. I just use some, like we post all the events on Eventbrite. I'm still tweaking some things. The issue is I never want people to feel like our events are hard to get into. But the issue is that when I rent these venues, they all have an event capacity, like a person capacity. So I have to cap it at a number, which is stressful because I'll post the event on Instagram and it fills up very quickly. So I'm coming up with new ways. Like, I mean, I've never planned events before. This year has like just been so full of learning from mistakes and getting new ideas. But I think now we're gonna like announce in 1 week we'll be opening registration at this time. Mark it on your calendars so you can have just as much of a chance as anyone else to sign up.
That makes sense.
But they're all different. Like we had 50 people, like 70, almost 75 people at this last one. So
that's so cool.
For the kids, we try to keep it around 20 people so it's not too overwhelming. And I mean, personally, I like the more intimate events. You just feel safer being vulnerable. But we always like to have a mental health activity, like breakout groups, conversation starters, fun games.
I love that though. I mean, they need one. Dobie, you need to make one for type 2.
Okay, I'll just whip it up. I mean, you know how much work goes into that, Laura. So
I'll
respect. And again, we want to help each other. That's why we got together. And I thought, the type 1s and type 2s, it's almost like the gang, throwing up gang signs. We both have diabetes, both types. We're all in this together.
Alliance.
And I think that's what Sammy and I try to bring. I think because we get along well, we try to bridge that gap and we joke about it. But still, I mean, it's different, but it isn't different. We're all in the same community.
Yeah, and
I agree.
it's really tough because even I went to like a diabetes meetup in San Diego and I met I want to say it was like 2 or 3 people, and now I like talk to them all the time. But it was funny because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know who's gonna be there, and one of them just came up. Chase, he's 12. He's so cute. He just came up to the diabetes JDRF walk, and it was so awesome. Like he was just my diet buddy the whole time. We were walking together, and I was like, I love this.
It's just instant. It's instant.
Yeah.
It's like being You know, it's almost like being in a foreign country and then you meet someone who speaks your language. And then, of course, you're going to like stick with that person so you guys can continue speaking
Language.
the same language with
Exactly.
each
Yeah,
other.
no, completely. That's why it's so funny to me when like people don't get it. They're like, what do you mean like another diabetic? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, you don't understand. There's things I can't explain to you. Like I can't explain
Right.
that I'm going to have a spike after I ate protein and I worked out. It'll go back
Right.
up. I can't explain that to you because you're not going to know what I'm talking about.
And to Dobie's point too, like it's so funny because I mean, I try to be such an advocate, and it's hard to not get frustrated when people don't understand type 1. And I have to remind myself that I probably wouldn't know anything about it if I didn't have it. But with type 2, I just met with someone yesterday who was misdiagnosed as type 2 for 10 years before
Dex?
receiving their type 1 diagnosis. Yes,
He was a
that was my
guest on
close
our
friend.
podcast.
But
He's a great, yeah.
he told me, and he said, yeah. But I realized, and this is like just me, I don't even know details about having type 2 diabetes. And it's like, okay, what a reality check for me where I expect people to know, but there's so many things I should really take the time
Well, that's the
to
thing,
learn.
and that's why we educate, we get together, community, all the things you said. We're so much on the same
Right.
page. Real quick, here's a shout out to our partner Keto Brick. Keto Brick is a 1,000 calorie, shelf stable meal replacement bar that anybody can use to streamline their nutritional needs. The brick can be portioned out into smaller amounts or consumed as an entire brick if you need all those calories. These bricks are great for athletes who demand the highest quality from nutrition, outdoors enthusiasts going off the grid, busy entrepreneurs rushing to meetings, and multitasking soccer moms simplifying their life. These bricks were made with the simple goal of optimizing one's nutrition in the most efficient manner possible. They are made by hand in small batches to ensure macronutrient accuracy and utmost quality. The bricks come in a variety of flavors, ranging from the original mocha cream, my personal favorite, to the crowd favorite chocolate peanut butter cup, which is good too. Head on over to ketobrick.com and use my code JMTKETO, that's JMTKETO, to get one free keto brick with your first purchase of any bricks. Laura, you've been a great guest so far, but we'd like to get the diagnosis stories of our guests. So let's go back to the beginning so we could get your story so we can go back to the other stuff you're doing.
Okay, my diagnosis story. This is an ongoing joke in the family because both my parents say that I was a different age. I think one thinks I was 4 and one thinks I was 6. So I think now I'm finally just saying I was 5 because no one really, it was just like a blur and that when it happened, but I was young and obviously I don't remember anything, but my mom told me we used to walk up a hill to preschool. And one day I couldn't walk up, like she noticed I was getting very weak and she's like, you couldn't walk up this hill that we had been doing every single day. So she said she knew something was wrong. I started wetting the bed and she's like, this doesn't make any sense. And she just knew it was like very obvious that I was getting sick and she didn't know what it could be. She didn't know it was diabetes. It wasn't that sort of situation. But she took me to my pediatrician who didn't know what to do. She actually made me do a fasting glucose. So she said she sent me home and said I couldn't eat or drink for 12 hours. And my poor mother said I mean, you both might know how thirsty you get when your blood sugar is high. And she said I was just screaming for water. And she was like, I couldn't give it to you because the doctor told me not to. And it was luckily, I don't remember that part either. But finally, she brought me back in the morning, and the pediatrician came out, and it was very dramatic. And she said, your daughter has type 1 diabetes. Drive straight to Children's Hospital. There's a team of specialists waiting. Don't go home first. Just go straight to the hospital.
Do not pass
And
go. Do
then,
not collect
yeah,
$200.
exactly. She's like, just go. And then I remember being in the hospital. I remember my mom calling my dad. It was like a very vivid memory. I was playing this with this little like Hello Kitty bead toy, and my mom called my dad, and she was just crying, like telling him what happened. And so I knew something was bad, but I had no idea what was going on. And then that was it. Then that was life as I knew it. After that,
Yeah, because that's very young, and I don't like to have memories before that. Like there might be one or two, but it's like you grew up always thinking.
absolutely. And I was put on an insulin pump I think I was in first grade when I was put
Okay.
on an insulin pump. I went to a private school. We didn't have a school nurse. My mom would come to test my blood sugar at lunchtime. We lived very close to the school. She also said one day she knew I would be able to do it on my own, but I never really had the chance because she would always come help me. So
Yeah.
she said one day she called the school and she's like, I'm not going to come today if she needs me, I'll like just call me and I'll be down the street, but just tell her that I'm not going to make it.
Wow.
And so they're like, your mom's not going to be here. And I was like, okay. And they said I just took the thing and I tested my blood sugar and I got my
How
shot.
old were you at that point?
That was young, probably 7, maybe.
You were a trooper, young lady.
And then-
Good for you.
I think you just watch it happen so many times. But I remember like I'd get sent to school, my mom would label every single thing in my lunchbox.
Yeah.
And I always thought like, of course I had some advantages. Like I got to eat snacks and everyone was like, why does she get to eat? And I'd be like, do you want to have diabetes? Like it was always
Laura,
like, there was
Laura, we call that playing the D card. When you use any kind of,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
played the D card in your life early, good for you.
Do you want to
Yeah,
ask
you're
how many
pulling-
times I got out of running the mile in high school because I felt like I was gonna go? I think I ran it once the whole year because I was like, oh, I'm definitely have low blood sugar.
I'm laughing that you just said that because mine wasn't so much I only had to do PE once because I did dance team, so I got out of it. But I would literally, the 1 year I had to do PE because middle school when I got diagnosed, I was doing independent study. So I'd get out at 12 for dance. So I didn't do PE and they go, you have to do 1 semester in high school. And I was like, what the frick? Like, I have to do what? So I literally
What?
did
To do
like, swim
what?
unit. I'm like, swim unit? My blood sugars are low.
Yes,
I didn't
every
swim
day.
once. I
I'm
got out of the mile. I was like, I'm not feeling good.
Hey, you know what? Life isn't fair. Take advantage when it's in your favor for once. There's nothing wrong with playing the D card.
Every time I'd be like, oh, mile today? Look at the time. I think I'm going to sit this one out. I think I'm about to go very low. We might as well. I should just probably
I'm
avoid
about
this
to
so that
black out.
no one has to deal with the liability in this situation.
Yeah.
There's
That's
at
hilarious.
Disney, like growing up in Southern California, at Disneyland,
Yeah.
they used to hand out like disability passes for type 1 diabetics, and my family, oh my God, I have memories of like my dad and brother taking me, and I was a little scaredy cat, and they'd be like, okay, time to go on it, because I would go to my whole family got to go to the front of the
Yeah,
line.
you go.
because
That's
of
what I
me.
did. You get 6 people.
But I was like terrified of Indiana Jones, and I remember like my brother picking me up, and he's like, "You're coming on the
going,
ride
so we can go."
because we want to go on." And they were like, "Does she need to use the elevator or can she do the stairs?" And he'd be like, "I think elevator would be best." I'm like,
And I love that.
I'm like, "You're so welcome."
Mama didn't raise no dummy. Great.
No, it's funny because I did the Disneyland thing, but I had this thing where I randomly passed out. So, yeah.
For real.
It's called vasovagal syncope. So, like, I'd be standing in a line with my knees locked, like standing still with my knees locked, and then everything starts spinning and I pass out. So, I already had that. So, that's what I got my disability pass for all growing up. Like, people would be like, do you want to go to Disneyland, Samantha? I'm like, why? They're like, don't you get 6 people in the line?
Oh my God.
Like, Magic Mountain, 8th grade. 8th grade Magic Mountain. It was like people were like, like to me. And I was like, oh my God. And then when I got type 1, I was like, wait, so I can use this too? And people were like, yeah. And I was like, what's the reasoning? And they were like, you just say, like, if you have to go low, if you're low or high, like, you have to step out of
Right.
the line and, like,
It's not so simple now, but I think there is still a way. Another, I want
can.
to say this on record. My favorite, because I used to ask people when I would interview them what their favorite diabetes hack is for life. And my favorite, the best one is that, and I'm sure you two might know, but that we get free national parks passes
yes.
for life.
Type 1 and type 2. I'm going to march
Yeah.
on Washington. I'm going to march up. We're going to get it too. If you get it, we get it.
I'm sure. No, I think you do because I looked it up.
Yeah, it's just as simple as getting a doctor's note. And it's embarrassing because I never went through with getting mine, but I always remember it.
Do they
That's
just
nice, though.
see? I never understand what they do with the doctors now. I'm like, do they just write like?
I think it just says like, honestly, I'm not going to speak on this because I do not have enough information, but I've
Never
looked up the
stops us.
application and it's just them like confirming that you have a
Yeah.
lifelong disease.
You gotta
I
love it
think.
though. Pulling the D card. That's what I always say.
Yeah,
you gotta
you
pull
gotta
it.
do
Oh yeah, I'm a pro.
Yeah, me too. Me and Dobie love.
That's
saying
part of
that
the
on
community, though,
podcast.
you know, and it's like the normal people, quote unquote, whatever that is. I don't think anybody's normal, but people that don't have diabetes, I mean, they don't understand it can be a pain, type 1 and type 2. They're just literally and physical
Right.
and emotional and depression and all the things that go with it. So if you can get in a free national park once in a
Yeah.
while or get a good parking spot or whatever it
Heck
is,
yeah.
you know, that's kind of,
I will never feel guilty
no, that's
for
the point.
pulling the D
No,
card.
are you kidding?
Guilt-free.
I always say that. I'm like, if I'm dealing with this every day for my life, who gives a flying
And then
crap?
it's like way out what I want to ask my friends. I'm like, which one would you rather have? Like, are you jealous that I get to pull so you would rather have
You'd
diabetes,
rather
just so
diabetes?
you
No,
can
you
use
wouldn't.
it as an excuse? I'm like, you need to think about that a little longer.
Yeah,
Like,
uh-huh.
let's Let's think about this.
Let's think about it. Yeah.
That's
So
not-
what's the craziest story then, like, you've heard from basically, like, hearing people's stories? Like, is there any that stand out to you?
In the beginning, when I got to like go meet people, I haven't told this story in a while. Someone wanted me to meet them at a college campus, and I didn't really ask any questions. It was this very sweet girl. I said, okay. And we took a photo, her portrait, in front of this building on campus. She like sent in her story, and then we spoke after, and she goes, this is where I was working, and they fired me for having type 1 diabetes, and me standing in front of this building and like doing this portrait was like a big
Wow.
screw you to them. And I was like, and I had no idea going into that. And she told me this whole story. They would like schedule,
Oh my God.
she had to take her lunch, obviously, and they would purposely schedule meetings during that time and be like, sorry, you missed this huge meeting. We're going to have to,
Wow.
just awful things. But that's all, like, that felt powerful for sure.
Yeah,
She gave him the
there's
big
lots
yuck
of-
foo.
Exactly.
The Chinese
Yeah.
water torture, the yuck foo.
But I like how you guys, it was the same because when I had a podcast too, and we used to say we talk about real things, diabetes. And as fun as it is to have these like stories of people who are like deep sea divers and they climbed this mountain and they run this marathon, I personally love the stories that are like just very simple daily, like
Yeah.
very relatable and where anyone can read. And then hearing like reading the comments when I do some of these, just like very simple post and
Yeah.
people just commenting like, I had no idea this happened to someone else before. This is exactly what happened to me. This is exactly how I feel. Like, thank you for putting my thoughts into words. And that's the best part, is seeing everyone able to relate for the first time.
It's so awesome. I know. I was just curious. I was like, I wonder. I feel like you have so many stories.
I do. That is a loaded question. I have to think back. I think I have photographed over 800 type 1 diabetics.
So crazy. So
Yeah.
have you were kind of talking about a little before about the tattoo and how your mom made you get. Can you share
Yeah,
that
she's-
story?
It's so funny. I wonder if she's gonna be like, you made that up. But I did. I when I was in high school, I was partying, and she got really worried about me. She was right. She said, you're gonna be drinking at a party and pass out on a couch, and no one's gonna know you're type 1, and they're gonna put a blanket over you thinking you're drunk, and you might not wake up because you could die from low blood sugar or high blood sugar. And so she handed me some money, and she said, go find someone that will tattoo a 16-year-old, a medic alert on your body. And so I did. I think she was a little disappointed when I got the writing in cursive, because she's like, who is
Is it-
possibly going to be able to read that?
Is it? Wait, let
I
me see it.
I can't, it says, hold on. It says medic alert.
Wait, that's pretty
For those listening, we'll get a picture of this and put it on a JMT website so you can see it.
It just
Okay,
says
I see it.
medic alert
Okay, yeah.
diabetic, but like it's not easy to read. But that's, and now when she wants to get mad at me for all my other tattoos, I'm like, well, who started this addiction? Let's go back to the first
Wait, that
one.
is funny actually, because my mom. So like same thing as you. I mean, I didn't party in high school. I didn't drink at all actually until I finished high school. But yeah. So in high school, I definitely like had fun, and not like where I was like college. I wasn't like wild, but college I had the first time I had like an incident in college was my sophomore year. Yeah, and it was the end of sophomore year, right when COVID hit. And I didn't even drink that much. I just also am a lightweight. I'm on a medication that kind of makes me a little more tipsy. I had like 3 drinks. And for some reason, I had started like a new anti-anxiety, like little medication. It was on the lowest dose, but they were like, beware. It could like trigger you to basically get more drunk. And I was like, meh. And I just like had like where I called my parents crying. Like I didn't know what was happening. That one. Then the next one was like I was up with my friends in Santa Barbara, and I was with my ex-boyfriend, and we were out, and I kind of just had like I'm 21, whatever. And
Naturally.
yeah, and I'm not like I never was wild. I'm not really wild now. Like I just have a good time. But let's just say I didn't know what a sake portion was. So had a little too much sake, and when dancing, I literally tripped over my sandal, like the platform sandal slid off, broke my foot, went to bed that night, really sick, woke up, like had no idea what happened the night before. My poor ex-boyfriend had to like stay awake, like calling my sister, like checking my blood sugars, whatever. And then I woke up, broke my foot, like all of it. And I've given my mom so much scaredness. But she would be like, instead, you know, like she'd be like, you don't understand. If you were drunk and you're out at a party and you were to fall asleep, people are not going to know. And that's kind of why, too, not even because that, but I just was like, you know, I don't always wear my medical bracelet, like, honestly.
That's the point. And I left that
Like,
out of the story of obviously a medical or bracelet or jewelry is your first option, but I was always taking mine off, which is what
yeah.
that's what brought us to the last resort of like, you have to get this tattooed because you're not wearing your jewelry.
Yeah, like mine broke off and now I'm like, I don't have one. And so I thought like getting like T1D, but it makes sense as a mom. That's funny that she's like, you need to go get this tattooed on you. Yeah.
That's it. Laura, I'm sorry. At the end of this episode, you're fantastic. Whether you like it or not, you're coming back for many more. You're a friend of the show. Hopefully, we're a friend of
I would love to.
your community world. Sam, we've got a question of
I
the
would love
pod to ask.
Okay, a question of the pod.
We ask at the end of every episode, just so you know.
You know what, actually, Laura, I want you to ask the question of the pod.
Do you have a question?
So you just ask any question to the audience that you want them to answer.
Could be about diet, could be about exercise.
It could be about like, what would be your ideal diabetes event?
Okay, this question is about advocacy. And it says, what is the most helpful, how funny, what is the most helpful benefit / advantage you have been afforded due to your diabetes?
Beautiful.
Okay. So answer that question to the pod. Will you repeat it one more time?
What is the most helpful benefit / advantage you have been afforded due to your diabetes?
Love it, love it, love it.
Amazing. So you can answer that question and you can share it with us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at JustMyTypePod _ Facebook at JustMyTypePod, and our hashtag JustMyTypePod. And you can find Laura at You're Just My Type on Instagram, You'reJustMyType.com, right? Online.
You'reJustMyType.com, but it's You're Just My Type 1 on Instagram.
Great. Then You're Just My Type 1 on Instagram and You'reJustMyType.com.
You're number one in our hearts, Laura. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was so fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
We will definitely have you again. Go back and listen to our past episodes. We are well on our way to 1 million listeners, where the community builds every day, and it starts with you. Thanks to Sammy for hooking us up with Laura. Sammy, let's put the sugar-free sundae, the cherry on top, one more time.
C'est la vie, baby.
This is the Just My Type podcast.